The unexpected. Shield Olivia. Bennett adjusted her emerald dress for the 5th time, her fingers trembling slightly as she stood at the entrance of the Rosewood Hotel's grand ballroom. The golden lights from the chandeliers cast a warm glow over the wedding reception, but she felt anything but warm. 6 months had passed since James had ended their 3-year relationship with nothing but a text message and the hollow excuse that they had grown apart. 6 months since she discovered he had been seeing someone else for weeks before their breakup, and now attending her cousin Violet's wedding reception meant inevitably facing him. The Bennett and Crawford families had been friends for generations. There was no way James wouldn't be invited. "You look like you're contemplating an escape route," a voice said behind her. Olivia turned to find her cousin and the bride of the evening, Violet, smiling warmly at her. "Is it that obvious?" Olivia asked, forcing a smile. "Only to someone who knows you as well as I do." Violet squeezed her hand. "You don't have to stay if it's too much. I won't be offended." "No way. I wouldn't miss your reception for anything. Besides," Olivia straightened her shoulders, "I refuse to let him think. He still affects me." But her resolve faltered the moment she spotted James across the room, his arm wrapped possessively around a stunning blonde in a figure-hugging red dress. Camilla, the woman he had left her for. Olivia retreated to the bar, ordering a glass of champagne with hands that betrayed her composure. She took a long sip, hoping the bubbles would somehow dissolve the knot forming in her throat. "Another champagne, please," a deep voice requested beside her. "And whatever the lady is having." Olivia glanced up to find a man she didn't recognize. Tall with warm brown eyes and dark hair that curled slightly at his collar, he had a quiet confidence that immediately drew her attention. "Thank you, but I'm fine," she said politely. "I insist." He smiled, revealing a dimple in his left cheek. "Consider it a preemptive apology." "Apology for what?" "For what I'm about to do." He lowered his voice. "Your ex is making his way over here, and based on the death grip you have on that champagne flute, I'm guessing you'd rather not have that conversation." Olivia's eyes widened as she discreetly looked over her shoulder. Indeed, James was weaving. Through the crowd, his gaze fixed on her. "I'm Nathaniel Reed, by the way," the stranger continued smoothly. "And for the next few minutes, I'm whatever you need me to be." Before Olivia could respond, Nathaniel stepped closer, his hand finding the small of her back with a familiarity that would make anyone watching believe they were intimately acquainted. He leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "Follow my lead," he whispered. "And maybe we can give him something to think about." A shiver ran down Olivia's spine that had nothing to do with James's approach. She found herself nodding, intrigued despite her better judgment. "Olivia," James's voice cut through the moment. "I was hoping to see you tonight." Olivia turned, Nathaniel's hand still resting protectively against her back. The surprise on James's face at seeing her with someone was unmistakable. "James," she acknowledged with a composure she didn't feel. "You remember Nathaniel, don't you?" The confusion in James's eyes was evident, but Nathaniel extended his hand with perfect confidence. "Good to see you again, man," Nathaniel said smoothly as if they'd met before. "Olivia's told me so much about you." For the next hour, Nathaniel remained by Olivia's side, his arm casually draped around her waist, his attention focused entirely on her. They danced, their bodies moving in perfect synchrony despite having just met. When he spun her around the dance floor, her laughter was genuine for the first time in months. "Thank you," she whispered as the night drew to a close. "You didn't have to do any of this." Nathaniel's smile was soft. "The pleasure was entirely mine." He hesitated, then added, "I should confess something. I'm not actually a wedding guest. I'm the photographer Violet hired as a last-minute replacement." Olivia's eyes widened. "So you're not even supposed to be dancing?" "Technically, no." His eyes crinkled with mischief. "But sometimes breaking the rules leads to the best moments." As Olivia looked up at this kind stranger who had rescued her evening, she felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Possibility. "Would it be breaking another rule if I asked to see you again, without an audience this time?" she asked, surprising herself with her boldness. Nathaniel's smile grew wider. That, he said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, would be the best rule I've ever broken. Whispers and walls. The morning light filtered through Olivia's curtains, painting her bedroom in a soft golden hue. She stared at the ceiling, replaying the events of the previous night. Nathaniel's warm smile, his gentle touch as they danced, the way he'd stepped in without hesitation to shield her from an uncomfortable encounter, it felt surreal, like something from one of those romance novels her mother always read. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Violet. "My photographer can't stop talking about you. Think I found you a keeper?" Olivia felt her cheeks warm. She hadn't given Nathaniel her number last night, too caught up in the moment to think practically. Now she wondered if she'd ever see him again outside of the wedding photos. Another message pinged through. Unknown number. "Coffee at Meridian Cafe at 2 p.m., unless you've changed your mind about seeing me without an audience. Nathaniel, your cousin gave me your number. Hope that's okay." Her heart skipped. She typed back quickly. "I'll be there." The Meridian Cafe sat nestled between an old bookstore and a vintage record shop in downtown Portland. Olivia arrived 15 minutes early, nervously smoothing down her casual blue sundress. This wasn't a date, she reminded herself. Just coffee with someone who'd been kind to her. Yet when Nathaniel walked in, camera bag slung over his shoulder and wearing a simple white button-down that complemented his olive skin, her pulse quickened traitorously. "You came," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I wanted to thank you properly," Olivia replied. "What you did last night was unexpected." Nathaniel ordered 2 lattes before responding. "I've been where you were. Sometimes all you need is someone in your corner, even if it's just for show." His honesty disarmed her. "What happened to you?" "Classic story. 5-year relationship ended when I found her with my roommate." He shrugged, but Olivia caught the ghost of old pain in his eyes. It was 2 years ago, but seeing them together at events still stung for a while. "I'm sorry," Olivia said softly. "That's worse than a breakup text." "A text? Seriously?" Nathaniel's expression darkened. "That guy definitely didn't deserve you." The conversation flowed easily after that. Nathaniel told her about his photography business, how he'd started shooting weddings to pay bills while pursuing his real passion for documentary photography. Olivia shared stories from her work as a pediatric occupational therapist, the children she helped, and the fulfillment it brought her. Hours passed unnoticed. One coffee turned into dinner at the Italian restaurant next door, where they shared a margarita pizza and stories of their most embarrassing moments. Olivia couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed so freely. "Can I show you something?" Nathaniel asked as they left the restaurant. The evening air was crisp, stars just beginning to appear above the city skyline. He led her to a small park 2 blocks away, where an outdoor photography exhibition was being set up. "My work," he explained, pointing to a series of black and white photographs mounted on display panels. "The exhibition opens tomorrow, but everything's already installed." Olivia moved slowly from one image to the next. They were stunning. Intimate portraits of people in moments of genuine emotion. A weathered fisherman laughing with his granddaughter. An elderly couple dancing in their kitchen. A young woman staring contemplatively at the ocean. "These are beautiful," she whispered. "You capture something so real. That's what I look for," Nathaniel said, standing close beside her. "The moments when people forget to perform and just exist." His voice softened. "Like you last night, when you were dancing and forgot about your ex watching." Their eyes met, and Olivia felt something electric pass between them. For a moment she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. "Too soon?" he asked softly. Olivia nodded reluctantly. "I'm still healing." "I understand." He stepped back, respecting her boundary without making her feel rejected. "We've got time." But as they walked back toward the parking lot, An unwelcome voice called out, "Olivia? Nathaniel?" James stood before them, alone this time, his expression a mixture of surprise and something else. Possessiveness, perhaps. Beside her, Olivia felt Nathaniel tense slightly. "Twice in 2 days," James said with a forced smile. "Must be fate." "Or just a small city," Nathaniel replied evenly. James's eyes narrowed. "Funny, I don't remember meeting you before the wedding." "That's not surprising," Nathaniel said. "You were rather preoccupied whenever Olivia introduced us." The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly that even Olivia almost believed they'd known each other during her relationship with James. "Right," James said skeptically. He turned to Olivia. "Can I talk to you for a minute? Alone?" "That's not surprising," Nathaniel said. "You were rather preoccupied whenever Olivia introduced us." The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly that even Olivia almost believed they'd known each other during her relationship with James. "Right," James said skeptically. He turned to Olivia. "Can I talk to you for a minute? Alone?" The request caught her off guard. "Anything you want to say, you can say in front of Nathaniel." James's jaw tightened. "Fine. I've been thinking about us, Liv, about what went wrong. I made a mistake." Olivia felt as though the ground beneath her feet had suddenly shifted. For months, she'd imagined him saying those words, had played out reconciliation scenarios in her mind. Now, hearing them in reality, she felt nothing but a hollow echo of past pain. "You made a choice, James," she said quietly. "And so did I, by moving forward." She reached for Nathaniel's hand, intertwining their fingers. It was meant to be part of their charade, but his warm palm against hers felt anything but pretend. James's expression hardened. "So that's it? You're with this guy now?" "What I am," Olivia said, finding strength in her voice, "is no longer waiting for an apology that comes 6 months too late." As James walked away, Olivia realized she was still holding Nathaniel's hand. She didn't let go. "That was impressive," Nathaniel said softly. "I had good backup," she replied. Under the faint glow of streetlights, they walked back to their cars, their shoulders occasionally brushing. Something was building between them, something tentative and fragile, yet undeniably real. But as they reached her car, Olivia felt the familiar walls of caution rising within her. "Nathaniel, I'm not sure what this is between us, but I need to be honest. I'm still figuring things out. Still healing." He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Walls take time to come down. I'm not going anywhere." As she drove home that night, Olivia wondered if she was brave enough to dismantle those walls brick by brick, or if the fear of being hurt again would keep them firmly in place. The morning light, Mondays at Portland Children's Hospital always, brought a flurry of activity. Olivia arrived early, balancing a tray of coffees for her department and thumbing through her patient files. Her mind, however, kept drifting to the weekend, to Nathaniel's smile, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he laughed, how natural it felt to hold his hand. "Earth to Olivia," a voice broke through her thoughts. "You've been staring at Tommy's file for 5 minutes without turning a page." Olivia looked up to find her best friend and colleague, Phoebe Wang, watching her with amused curiosity. As the hospital's speech pathologist, Phoebe often collaborated with Olivia on cases. Their friendship solidified through long shifts and shared successes with their young patients. "Sorry, just distracted," Olivia murmured, sliding a coffee toward Phoebe. "Distracted has a name, and according to Violet's Instagram, he's tall, dark, and handsomely attached to you at her wedding," Phoebe teased, pulling up a chair. "Spill everything. Now." Olivia sighed, closing the file. "It's complicated. We're not really together." By the time she finished explaining the charade with Nathaniel, Phoebe was shaking her head, grinning widely. "Liv, that's literally the plot of every romantic comedy ever. The fake relationship that becomes real." "It's not becoming real," Olivia protested, though her warming cheeks betrayed her. "We've had coffee and dinner. That's it." Phoebe hummed skeptically. "And you're Sure he's not just another rebound to make James jealous? The question stung with its accuracy. Was that all this was? A balm for her wounded pride? I don't know what it is, Olivia admitted. But I like how I feel when I'm with him. Like I can breathe again. Phoebe's expression softened. Then maybe, that's enough for now. She glanced at her watch. I've got to run. The new hospital photographer is coming to take pictures for the pediatric wing renovation fundraiser, and I'm supposed to show him around. New photographer? Olivia asked, a strange premonition washing over her. Yeah, some guy the board hired for all the hospital PR stuff, supposedly very talented. Read something? Olivia's heart stuttered. Nathaniel Reed? Phoebe's eyes widened. That's him. Wait, your Nathaniel is our new photographer? Before Olivia could respond, a knock at the office door drew their attention, and there he stood, camera bag over his shoulder, looking as surprised as Olivia felt. You work here? Nathaniel asked, his professional demeanor momentarily slipping. Pediatric occupational therapy, Olivia managed, acutely aware of Phoebe's delighted expression beside her. Well, Phoebe said, clapping her hands together, this tour just got a lot more interesting. For the next hour, Olivia watched as Nathaniel charmed the hospital staff, his easy manner putting everyone at ease. But it was his interaction with the children that captivated her. He crouched to their level, showing them his camera, letting them press the shutter button, transforming a potentially intimidating photo session into a game that had even the shyest patients giggling. He's good, Phoebe whispered as they observed Nathaniel photographing a young patient proudly displaying her artwork in the recreation room. He is, Olivia agreed, something warm unfurling in her chest. Later, as their paths crossed in the cafeteria, Nathaniel slid into the seat across from her, his smile tentative. So surprise. Looks like we'll be seeing more of each other. 6-month contract with the hospital, Olivia nodded. Phoebe told me. Is that okay? He asked, suddenly looking uncertain. I can request reassignment if... No, Olivia interrupted quickly. No, it's good, I'm glad. Relief visibly washed over his features. Good, because I've been thinking about you. He hesitated, then continued. Would you want to come to my exhibition opening tonight? As my guest, not my pretend date. The distinction wasn't lost on Olivia. This would be real, no pretense, no audience to perform for. Just the two of them, stepping cautiously into something new. I'd like that, she said softly. The gallery was crowded when Olivia arrived that evening, wearing a simple black dress she'd hurriedly changed into after her shift. Nathaniel spotted her immediately, excusing himself from a conversation to make his way to her side. You came, he said, echoing his words from the cafe days earlier, but with more certainty this time. I said I would. She smiled, taking in the buzzing gallery. This is impressive, everyone loves your work. Come on, he said, offering his hand. There's one series I want to show you. He led her to a quiet corner of the gallery where a set of photographs hung slightly apart from the others. They were different from what she'd seen in the park. Not strangers caught in candid moments, but familiar faces. The children from the hospital, captured in black and white, their spirits radiating from each frame despite their medical challenges. These weren't supposed to be part of the exhibition, Nathaniel explained quietly. I took them years ago during a volunteer project, but after meeting you, after seeing how you work with these kids, it felt right to include them. Olivia's throat tightened with emotion. They're beautiful. You see them as they really are, not just their conditions. The same way you do, Nathaniel said, his eyes meeting hers. It's what drew me to you that night at the wedding. Even before I knew who your ex was, you have this way of truly seeing people. The moment was charged, intimate despite the crowd around them. Slowly, Nathaniel reached out, his fingers grazing her cheek in a touch so gentle it made her heart ache. Olivia, what a surprise. The moment shattered at the sound of James's voice. He approached with Camilla on his arm, both dressed impeccably. I didn't know you were into photography, James continued, his eyes darting between Olivia and Nathaniel. "There's a lot you don't know about me," Olivia replied evenly. Camilla, looking uncomfortable, tugged at James's sleeve. "We should find our seats, honey. The artist talk is about to start." "Right," James said, but his eyes remained fixed on Olivia. "We should catch up sometime, just the two of us." "I don't think so," Olivia replied, feeling Nathaniel's steady presence beside her. As James and Camilla walked away, Nathaniel turned to her, concern etched on his features. "You okay?" "Fine," Olivia said, surprised to find it was true. "Actually, better than fine." The gallery owner approached, apologetically informing Nathaniel it was time for his speech. With a reluctant smile, he squeezed Olivia's hand before making his way to the small podium. As Olivia listened to him speak passionately about his work, about capturing authentic human connection, she felt something shift within her. The walls she'd built after James weren't crumbling all at once, but perhaps brick by brick, they were beginning to come down. After the speech, as guests mingled and champagne flowed, Nathaniel found his way back to her side. "Want to get out of here?" he asked quietly. "There's somewhere else I'd like to show you." Without hesitation, Olivia nodded. As they slipped out into the cool evening air, she realized she wasn't afraid anymore. Not of James, not of what people might think, and maybe, just maybe, not even of falling again. But as Nathaniel's hand found hers in the darkness, a troubling thought surfaced. Their connection had begun with a lie, a performance put on for her ex's benefit. What if that foundation wasn't strong enough to build something real? What if, when morning light dispelled the magic of these moments, all that remained was another heartbreak waiting to happen? Truths revealed. The rooftop garden of Nathaniel's apartment building was a hidden oasis in the city. String lights twinkled overhead like fallen stars, casting a soft glow over potted herbs and flowering plants that residents tended together. Portland's skyline sparkled in the distance, the moon hanging low and full over the river. "This is where I come to think," Nathaniel said, leading Olivia to a small bench nestled between fragrant rosemary bushes. "When I need to remember what's real." "It's beautiful," Olivia murmured, taking in the peaceful sanctuary. "I can't believe you have access to this. One of the perks of living in a building full of artistic types. The landlord lets us transform the space as long as we maintain it." He smiled, gesturing to a corner with thriving tomato plants. "Those are mine. Not very impressive compared to Mrs. Rodriguez's prize-winning peppers, but I try." The revelation of this softer side of Nathaniel, the photographer who grew tomatoes and created community gardens, made something warm unfurl in Olivia's chest. They sat in comfortable silence, the night air cool against their skin. Nathaniel's arm rested behind her on the bench, not quite touching her but close enough that she could feel his warmth. "Can I ask you something?" Olivia finally said, her voice quiet beneath the distant sounds of traffic. "Anything." "That night, at the wedding, why did you really step in? You didn't know me." Nathaniel was silent for a moment, his eyes on the city lights. "I was photographing you," he admitted. "Not just as the bride's cousin, but because there was something about your expression. You were smiling, but your eyes—" He paused. "I've spent my career capturing emotions, and yours were so raw, so honest. Then I saw how you reacted when your ex walked in, and I just couldn't stay behind the camera." His honesty disarmed her. "So it was professional interest?" "At first," Nathaniel said, finally meeting her gaze. "But then you smiled at me. Really, smiled, and it had nothing to do with photography anymore." The space between them seemed to shrink, charged with unspoken possibility. Olivia found herself leaning toward him, drawn by something deeper than attraction. His hand gently cupped her cheek, thumb tracing her jawline. "May I?" he whispered. She nodded, heart racing as his lips met hers. The kiss was gentle, questioning, giving her every opportunity to pull away. Instead, Olivia leaned closer, her hands finding their way to his shoulders as the kiss deepened. When they finally parted, Olivia felt lightheaded, as though something fundamental had shifted in her world. Nathaniel's eyes remained on hers, searching. "I've wanted to do that since the wedding," he confessed. "Me too," she admitted. They stayed on the rooftop for hours, talking about everything and nothing, childhood dreams, professional aspirations, favorite books and fears. When midnight came and went, Olivia reluctantly checked her watch. "Early shift tomorrow," she explained with regret. Nathaniel walked her to her car, their fingers intertwined. At her door, he kissed her again, softer this time, a promise rather than a question. "Dinner tomorrow?" he asked. "I'd like that," Olivia replied, smiling as she drove away. The following days fell into a rhythm. Nathaniel at the hospital, capturing images for the fundraising campaign. Olivia with her patients, occasionally crossing paths in hallways or the cafeteria, exchanging private smiles that didn't go unnoticed by Phoebe. Evenings spent together when their schedules aligned, cooking dinner at his apartment, watching old movies on her couch, exploring Portland's hidden corners. With each day, Olivia felt the walls around her heart thinning, becoming translucent enough to let light through. On Friday afternoon, Olivia finished her paperwork early, planning to surprise Nathaniel during his photo shoot in the hospital garden. As she approached, she heard voices, Nathaniel's and another, she instantly recognized. "I'm not sure what game you're playing with her, but it needs to stop." James's tone was cold, authoritative, the voice he used in boardrooms to intimidate opponents. "There's no game, James." Nathaniel's response was calm, but firm. "And frankly, it's not your business. She deserves someone who's honest with her. Rich, coming from you." Olivia stepped into view just as James moved closer to Nathaniel, his posture confrontational. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice sharper than intended. Both men turned. James recovered first, his expression shifting to concern. "Olivia," he said, stepping toward her, "we need to talk privately. Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Nathaniel," she replied, echoing their previous encounter. James's jaw tightened. "Fine. Your boyfriend here has been less than honest with you. Did you know he was at our company party last year, photographing the event where I first met Camilla?" The revelation hit Olivia like a physical blow. She turned to Nathaniel, who looked pale but steady. "Is that true?" she asked quietly. "Yes," Nathaniel admitted. "I was the event photographer. But that's not—" "He knew exactly who I was at the wedding," James continued. "He approached you deliberately, Liv. This whole thing has been an act." "That's not true," Nathaniel said firmly, his eyes never leaving Olivia's. "Yes, I recognized James, but everything else—" "So you lied," Olivia interrupted, struggling to process this new information. "You knew who he was, who I was, before you ever approached me." Nathaniel's expression was pained. "I recognized him. Yes, and when I saw how you reacted when he walked in, I put it together. But Olivia, that doesn't change, doesn't it?" She took a step back, old insecurities flooding back. "How do I know any of this has been real, that it wasn't just some twisted way to—" "To what?" Nathaniel asked, hurt evident in his voice. "Get back at him? I don't even know him beyond photographing one corporate event." James stepped closer to Olivia. "He's manipulated this whole situation. Used you." "That's enough," Nathaniel said, his voice hardening. "James, this has nothing to do with you. Olivia?" He turned to her, his expression softening. "Yes, I should have told you I recognized him. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. But everything between us has been real. From the first dance, it's been real for me." Olivia felt dizzy with conflicting emotions, betrayal at the omission, anger at James's interference, and beneath it all, fear. Fear that what she'd begun to feel for Nathaniel was built on another lie, just as her relationship with James had been. "I need some space," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "To think." "Olivia," Nathaniel began, reaching for her. "Please," she said, stepping back. "Just give me some time." She walked away, ignoring both men calling after her. In her office, door locked, she sank into her chair, emotions warring within her. Part of her wanted to believe Nathaniel, to trust that what they'd shared these past weeks was genuine. Another part, the wounded part that still carried scars from James's betrayal, whispered doubts. A knock at her door broke through her thoughts. Liv? It's Phoebe. Can I come in? Reluctantly, Olivia unlocked the door. One look at her face, and Phoebe's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. What happened? As Olivia explained, Phoebe listened without interruption, her brow furrowing deeper with each detail. So let me get this straight, Phoebe said when Olivia finished. You're upset because Nathaniel recognized your ex at the wedding? He lied. To me? Olivia insisted. Did he? Or did he just not volunteer information that wasn't relevant at the time? Phoebe challenged gently. Liv, I've seen how he looks at you. That's not pretend. How can I trust that? After James, not every man. Is James? Phoebe interrupted firmly. And maybe the real question isn't whether you can trust Nathaniel. It's whether you're ready to trust yourself again, your own judgment, your own heart. The words landed heavily, ringing with truth Olivia wasn't quite ready to face. I don't know what to do, she admitted. Yes, you do, Phoebe said softly. You're just scared to do it. When Olivia left the hospital that evening, she found James waiting by her car, leaning against the driver's door with practiced casualness. I thought you might need to talk, he said. Not with you, Olivia replied, keys clutched tightly in her hand. Liv, I'm worried about you, James persisted. This guy shows up out of nowhere, inserts himself into your life, like you inserted Camilla into yours while we were still together. The words escaped before she could stop them, years of unspoken hurt behind them. James had the grace to look uncomfortable. I made mistakes. We both did. No, James. You made mistakes. I just trusted the wrong person. She looked at him directly, seeing him clearly perhaps for the first time. Why are you really here? Because I don't believe for a second it's concern for me. James's expression shifted, the mask of concern slipping. I miss you, Liv. Seeing you with him, it made me realize what I gave up. The confession, which months ago might have made her heart sore, now fell flat. You missed the idea of me, James. The woman who never questioned, who fit perfectly into your life plan. That person doesn't exist anymore. We were good together, he insisted. No, Olivia said with sudden clarity. We weren't. I just didn't know what good was supposed to feel like. As she drove home that night, Olivia realized that the ache in her chest wasn't for James, or even for Nathaniel's omission. It was for the woman she'd been, the one who'd let fear dictate her choices, who'd been so afraid of being hurt that she'd built walls too high to see over. The question now was whether she was brave enough to tear them down completely. When pretending ends, the rain fell in gentle sheets across Portland, the kind of soft, persistent autumn shower that cleansed rather than drenched. Olivia stood by her apartment window, watching droplets trace patterns down the glass, each one forging its own path before joining others in rivulets that flowed toward an inevitable destination. 3 days had passed since her confrontation with Nathaniel and James. 3 days of silence, of missed calls from both men, of Phoebe's concerned glances across the pediatric ward. 3 days of internal dialogue that circled back to the same questions. What was real? What was pretend? And how could she possibly know the difference? Her phone buzzed with a text from Violet. The wedding photos are ready. Thought you might want to see them before everyone else. Link in your email. Curiosity overcoming her hesitation, Olivia opened her laptop and clicked the link. The photos loaded slowly, a digital gallery of her cousin's perfect day. She scrolled through ceremony shots, family portraits, reception candids, until she found what she didn't realize she was looking for. There she was, in Nathaniel's arms on the dance floor. But it wasn't the image itself that made her breath catch. It was the way he was looking at her, not at the camera, not at James in the raw background, but at her, with wonder, with warmth, with something that couldn't possibly be pretense. And her own expression mirrored his, open, unguarded, genuinely happy, in a way she hadn't been in months before that night. Further scrolling revealed more moments. Nathaniel laughing at something, she'd said, his hand gently placed at the small of her back as they navigated the crowd, the two of them sharing a quiet moment at the edge of the reception. In none of these was James visible. In none of them were they performing for an audience. The truth hit her with sudden clarity. Whatever might have started as pretense had become something authentic long before either of them had acknowledged it. Her phone rang, startling her from her realization. Phoebe's name flashed on the screen. "Have you seen the hospital newsletter?" Phoebe asked without preamble when Olivia answered. "No, why?" "Nathaniel's resigned from the project, effective immediately." The news felt like a physical blow. "What? Why would he?" "Apparently he told the board it was a conflict of interest, whatever that means," Phoebe said, though her tone suggested she knew exactly what it meant. "Liv, he's leaving Portland. Some assignment in Seattle. He's at the hospital now, clearing out his equipment from the storage room." Olivia's mind raced. "I have to go," she said abruptly, ending the call as she grabbed her keys and raincoat. The drive to the hospital was a blur of windshield wipers and racing thoughts. What would she say to him? What could she say that would make any difference now? The pediatric wing was quiet when she arrived, most of the staff gone for the weekend. Olivia made her way to the small storage room that had temporarily housed Nathaniel's equipment, her heart pounding with each step. The door was ajar, light spilling into the dim hallway. She paused at the threshold, watching as Nathaniel methodically packed his camera gear, his movements betraying none of the emotion she felt coursing through her. "Were you going to leave without saying goodbye?" she asked softly. Nathaniel froze, then slowly turned to face her. His expression was guarded, the warmth she'd grown accustomed to carefully banked behind professional courtesy. "I didn't think you wanted to see me," he said simply. "I didn't," Olivia admitted, stepping into the room. "And then I did. And then I was afraid." "Of what?" "Of being wrong again. Of trusting the wrong person." She took a deep breath. Of how much it would hurt if this wasn't real. Something in Nathaniel's expression shifted, the guard lowering slightly. "It's always been real for me, Olivia. From the moment you laughed in my arms on that dance floor, not for show, not for him, but just because you were happy. I was yours." The simplicity of his declaration made her throat tighten with emotion. "I saw the wedding photos," she said. "The way you looked at me is the same way I've looked at you every day since," he finished quietly. Olivia moved closer, close enough to see the flecks of amber in his brown eyes, the slight stubble on his jaw from days without proper rest. "I'm sorry I doubted you. That I let James get into my head. I should have told you I recognized him," Nathaniel countered. "That first night, or at least after. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration she'd come to recognize. "I was afraid it would change how you saw what was happening between us, that you'd think exactly what you ended up thinking." "And what was happening between us?" Olivia asked, her heart racing. Nathaniel's smile was soft, vulnerable. "I was falling in love with you. Am falling in love with you," he corrected. Present, tense. The words hung in the air between them, honest and unadorned. No pretense, no audience, no ulterior motives. Just truth, offered without expectation. "I called the Seattle client," Nathaniel continued when she remained silent. "Told them I couldn't take the job." "Why?" Olivia whispered. "Because even if you never want to see me again, Portland is home now. It's where I found you." The last of Olivia's hesitation dissolved. She stepped forward, closing the remaining distance, between them, her hands finding his face. "I don't want you to go," she said softly. "I want you to stay. I want us to see where this goes, where we go without pretending, without an audience. Just us, figuring it out together. Relief washed over Nathaniel's features, followed quickly by something deeper, more profound. His hands settled at her waist, drawing her closer. Just us, he agreed. When his lips met hers, there was no hesitation, no question, only certainty, warmth, and the promise of something real and lasting. Later that evening, as they walked hand in hand through the rain-washed streets of Portland, Olivia realized something profound. The walls she'd built after James hadn't been protection. They'd been a prison of her own making. True safety wasn't found in isolation, in guarding against all possibility of hurt. It was found in the courage to be vulnerable, to trust not just another person, but herself. "What are you thinking about?" Nathaniel asked, noticing her contemplative expression. Olivia smiled, squeezing his hand. "About how sometimes the things that seem like endings are really just beginnings in disguise. Like a stranger pulling you close at a wedding?" he teased. "Exactly like that," she agreed, leaning into his embrace as they paused beneath a streetlight. The rain had stopped, leaving the world around them glistening and renewed. 2 weeks later, Olivia found herself at another wedding, this time as Phoebe's bridesmaid. As the reception began, she spotted James across the room, Camilla absent from his side. Their eyes met briefly, and Olivia was surprised to find no lingering hurt, no regret, just the quiet acknowledgement of a chapter closed. "May I have this dance?" Nathaniel appeared at her side, hand extended, eyes filled with the warmth that had become her new normal. As they moved across the dance floor, Olivia caught sight of their reflection in the venue's mirrored walls. No longer strangers playing parts, but two people writing their own story, step by step, truth by truth, heart by heart. "You know," Nathaniel said thoughtfully as they swayed to the music, "I never thanked James." Olivia looked up, puzzled. "For what?" Nathaniel's smile was soft as he tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture now familiar and cherished. "For making the biggest mistake of his life," he said simply, "and giving me the chance to make the best decision of mine." As he leaned down to kiss her, Olivia knew with absolute certainty that this moment, this man, this love was real. No pretending, no audience. Just two people who had found each other in the most unexpected way, proving that sometimes the most authentic beginnings arise from moments of pretense, and that the heart knows the difference between performance and truth long before the mind catches up. In the end, what had started as a stranger's kindness had blossomed into the most genuine love Olivia had ever known. A reminder that sometimes when we're busy guarding against past hurts, we miss the future's healing embrace waiting just around the corner.